My name is Stevi, and I'm a student of mycology and geographic information systems here at Evergreen. And during the SURF project over the summer, my professor and research advisor, Dr. Jonathan Batchelor, we worked on this project where we essentially mapped out the extent of Scotch broom along the Olympic Peninsula in Washington. An introduction to Scotch broom is that it is an invasive species, and it really prefers like soil that is sandy, and so you're going to see it a lot more along those coastal regions. And what the implications are is that it actually overshadows a lot of our native species, and it also there's an implication for as it creates woody biomass, so it's a fire hazard, and it can spread fire to larger canopies. So the purpose of this study was to see the development of Scotch broom and map out the extent along that region. And we did this working with our partnering organization, the 10,000 Years Institute, and they do a lot of work with the Scotch broom and trying to remove it and maintain the levels. So working in collaboration with them, we use this satellite imagery. So the first step with our procedure was really looking at the satellite imagery and then classifying, going into that imagery, and based on the pixel, classifying, is this Scotch broom, or is this deciduous, is this coniferous? So we went into those images and actually classified them, and then we put that data into a machine learning program that was essentially able to classify the rest of the images. So we have Westport, Grayland, and Acosta area right here. We have the overall Grays Harbor region, and then we have Ocean Shores area right there. And the areas of yellow you can see were classified as Scotch broom versus other areas that were not. And so with this data, the second portion was creating a survey assessment. So I developed this survey, and the survey was essentially just to use in the field to actually get that ground truth data to compare to the imagery. So taking that survey out into the field along with this GNSS receiver, which precisely locates where you are geospatially down to like the centimeters. So that's what we needed, because a lot of times, like, even our phones are so inaccurate, we really needed it to be precise to say, yes, Scotch broom is here versus where it's not. So my colleague actually classified these images, and then my job was to go out into the field, and we collected about 295 data points to get some ground truth data. And whether or not just saying, okay, did the image actually classify it correctly or not? And what we found, in this image, you can see the areas of, this is the ground truth data points based on overlaying the classification images. So you can see areas where there's more Scotch broom present versus not present. And so we weren't just looking at the areas that were classified as Scotch broom, but we wanted to look at areas where they weren't classified as Scotch broom either. What we found overall was that the classification was actually accurate about 67% of the time at classifying Scotch broom correctly, and it was accurate about 74% of the time at classifying it as non-presence. It wasn't defined any further than that for this study, so just saying, is it Scotch broom, is it not? And that signifies is that there's potential for growth in that area. So it's as far as the accuracy goes, I think looking forward, we can actually refine that classification and really define areas of non-Scotch broom. So what was in those non-Scotch broom areas? Was it a wetland? Was it grass? Was it shrubbery? Really defining those areas, I think would allow us to see those spatial patterns and really see those factors that might have significance to the overall development of this invasive species, and kind of allow us to understand that a little bit better. So that moving forward, I think would be important.